Hello, welcome to the Drama Coach and the latest update on myself and my daughter Lacey with our screen acting. So it's been the Christmas holidays, so you might think maybe creative stop for the Christmas holidays, but there's been lots of postings, lots of adverts still for jobs throughout that time. I know, I believe in sort of Hollywood, everything shuts down for a couple of weeks. But definitely with local things and smaller productions, people have still been thinking creatively and advertising jobs. So I've seen lots of those, however, not very many of them have been appropriate for myself or for Lacey. So we've applied for a couple of extra bits and bobs, but nothing to report back on there. Lacey's had a fifth self-tape for this one that we've been self-taping for together, and this time it was a mind one. So last update we mentioned about having an improvised self-tape that we both created together. And this time the casting director wanted some more shots of Lacey in a particular way, and she did a mind scene for that. So it was nice because it didn't take very long, though it doesn't take her long to learn lines. But that was good fun, and actually we couldn't quite make our mind up on which shots to use, so we did two versions of that. So fingers crossed for that, because we really enjoyed putting that together. I'm checking my notes, because although I thought I didn't do very much in the Christmas holidays, when I check the notes there's plenty still to report back on. So I was talking last update about doing the 21-day self-tape challenge, and I put a link in that in my last video. I'll chuck some more links at the bottom of this video, so I've got lots of things I want to talk about, so I'll pop that link in again in this video. I haven't opted to do it in January because I thought to myself, hang on, let's learn the words for the jobs you've already got, let's get those solid, and then if you haven't got much more coming up, then do the challenge, you know, if you're stuck for things to do. I just thought actually perhaps that's a little bit too much when I've already need to catch up on these lines from taking a bit of time over Christmas. So I'm looking at doing that perhaps February, perhaps March, but again, if lots of jobs come my way, then I'll probably put the self-tape challenge on the back burner and learn the lines that I've got, and then when I get a bit of a lull and I haven't got so much to learn, then I will definitely take part in the self-tape challenge, because I do think it's a really good thing to do. So as I mentioned, my brain's a little bit rusty in line learning. And so I thought to myself, hang on, what tips do I normally give students for line learning? Let's use all of those. And the one tip that I remember giving to certain students, actually especially the dyslexic ones, I now know I'm dyslexic and it does help me. So that's to take your scene. So for example, I've got a scene here, it's about 4 pages-ish. And it's using mnemonics, so you just write down the first letter of every word. Sounds a bit strange to start with. I've used capital letters here. I used lowercase the first time I did it, but I don't know, for some reason I feel like capital letters are working better for me, even though most of them would be lowercase in a script. So have an experiment. I'd really like to know how you learn your lines and what works well for you. Maybe you've got a tip to share that I'm not currently using. So I've gone for capital letters. So I've just written each letter of the first letter of each word in each line. And this acts as a sort of prompt. If you look at this and it's like gobbledygook and nothing, keep coming back to your original scene. And eventually quite quickly actually, this begins to make sense and you can read your lines from it, just like a prompt. And then for me, it's sort of less to learn from looking at this and then glancing back at your script. And it gives me a kind of prompt in my head of just one letter that reminds me of that line. There's quite a few numbers in the lines that I'm learning. I'll talk to you in a moment about the screenplay. The lines that I'm learning have some numbers in because this character is quite factual and very intelligent. So actually I'm thinking about going back to my mnemonics, and where there's a number, I might put the number instead of the first letter of the number. And again, I think that will settle better into my brain. So I'd love to know if you use mnemonics and if that helps you learning your lines. So I'm learning lines for a production called Therapy. And again, I'll put the link to the Facebook page in the description below. And it would be great if you could follow that film. It's self-funded, so lots of people, the director has been seeking funding for it, and it's a really exciting production so far. I love the character that I'm playing in this, a criminal psychologist. As I said, she's really clever, she's got lots to say. Thankfully for me, she's a British character in this, so I don't have to worry too much about accent yet. Although I love accents and I can do a general American accent, I think as I'm going back into acting for the first time in a very, very long time, I should probably start with my natural accent, really focusing on the kind of body language, the subtleties of the text, and then worry about accents in another part, another time. Again, that's advice I would give. You don't have to stick to it, but I feel more comfortable starting in my natural accent. I feel more authentic to the character. So it's excellent that the director's happy for my character to be British in this one. He even made a little tweak actually to the lines so that I trained, I think it's Cambridge University rather than somewhere in America. So he's made a little tweak to make my character work, which is wonderful. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm really enjoying learning those lines and getting my rusty brain up to speed. So that's mnemonics. So I talked a bit about it being Christmas holidays, but creative people still putting adverts out there. Lacey's gone back to school now, which is why she's not here with me. She was in the last update. And we've had a little tweak with her timetable because she's been very busy. So she's not doing swimming and her extracurricular sport for a little while, just because, yeah, it's been quite busy with extra self-tapes, etc. And I don't want to burn her out. So she's pulled out of those two things just for a term. She'll probably pick them back up in the spring. Certainly the sport in the spring will be nicer outside in the spring. And we've also moved her theatre school. So she was doing one theatre school on Saturday morning. She's going to move to another one, still relatively local, but we feel this one, well, we've seen a couple of their productions already and they really are excellent. So she's moving and trialing that tomorrow. So I'll let you know how that goes. Obviously, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking moving from one drama school to another, but she settled in fine in her first one, so I don't anticipate any problems. We'll see how she gets on. She's usually very enthusiastic, so I'm sure she'll make new friends very quickly and enjoy this. And as I said, the productions we've seen from them before are excellent. So it'll be really good to get her some more stage experience. What have I not talked about? Oh yes, I've applied to join Spotlight. So you may or may not know they've been bought out. And I think there was some upset about the rules changing to apply for Spotlight. But I think for me, it allows me to apply sooner than I would have. So I've applied using my drama degree from quite a while ago, actually. But the dates are still there and clickable on the box. So hopefully that will meet the criteria for the full-time education that I did very, very long time ago. Again, the course doesn't even exist for me to add the URL link into the application, but I have my certificate and hopefully that will allow me to join Spotlight. I've had a look for Lacey joining Spotlight, but in order to do that, she has to be signed up with a Spotlight agent. So I'm trawling through those, starting with the more local ones. You know, there's a list, there's thousands on there. And I'm going through those and looking on each of the websites and seeing who do we want to apply to for Lacey to join an agency so that she can then be on Spotlight. So we'll update you next time on how that goes. And I think that's pretty much everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks. So Lacey doing a mimed self-tape. Have I done any extra self-tapes? Can't think, probably just those ones. So lots of jobs coming advertised on Facebook, on Backstage. But again, not any that are particularly appropriate for us. I applied for a few more on Backstage. Lacey back at school, pulling back her timetable a little bit of the other things so that she's able to do plenty of drama and acting and dancing still. 21 self-tape challenge is on hold for another month whilst I learn the lines for Therapy. And as I said, I'll pop a link And if you could follow that Facebook page, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so again, if you've got any tips or tricks of your own, I would love you to leave a comment, especially for line learning, because I'm always after new ways of doing that. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.